Hi everybody, welcome to A World of Colour with Prism, the brand new range from Hunkydory Crafts. Today I want to talk to you about this incredible blender pen. Now, blender pen is a little bit of a lie, to be honest. This pen isn't necessarily for blending, but it is magic. It is incredible. It's going to do loads of cool stuff for your alcohol pens as well. So what I've already done is I've just done some different, some colouring, just different colours here. Some colours will work better than others, so it is a little bit of trial and error this one. You might want to do a little bit of testing before you actually use some of these techniques in your project. But I've done some colouring just onto some of our Ink Me cardstock, and we're going to use the blender pen to do some cool techniques. So what this is actually going to do is it's going to push away the ink from the blender pen. So let's start with our pink here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold my pen down and I'm just going to move this along here to create almost like a brick texture within our ink. So the longer you hold the pen down, the more saturated it will become and the more it will push that ink away. It almost like bleaches out the colour from underneath it. It's really cool, and obviously you can get super creative with this and you can do all sorts of cool patterns. But this one is quite nice for sort of textured backgrounds, you know, with that brick sort of look, and your chisel tip is perfect for this because it's got that rectangular base. Now if you get some ink onto your blender pen, do not worry, you just do a little bit of scribble on the edge and that will come off. So on a little bit of scrap cardstock that will disappear. You can obviously also do lines, so we can use that chisel tip because that will give us a nice straight chunky line like that. So you can see we've not really held the pen down for much there, for much time. So if we do it much slower, it gives you you know, it takes that colour out even more. You can obviously go over the lines as well if you want more of a bleached effect. And if you want thinner lines, obviously you can just use your bullet tip, so that'll give you a thinner edge there. And then you can also do some really cool, like almost like crisscross designs as well. So can you see how this colour isn't really moving too much? Some of the colours are just too heavy for the blender pen, so it is key that you trial this. So when we first got the pens and we were doing this technique, I thought black would look amazing, you know, you get that really stark contrast, but the black is too heavy for the blender as well. So do just test. This one we can just do polka dots, again with our bullet tip there. And again, the longer you hold it down, the larger dot you will get because the more that ink is spreading through your cardstock and pushing that coloured ink around. So it is fabulous. It's such a cool technique. It is also great if you get any mistakes on your colouring. So if I just grab something to show you this. So if you were colouring in your design and you went out the lines a little bit, which we all do, it happens to the best of us, you can then push that ink back over the other side of the line. So it does work better if you let it dry, so we'll just leave it for a couple of seconds. And again, let me just clean my chisel tip. I'm going to use the chisel tip and I'm going to push that ink back in over the line. Okay, so it's important that you don't go too far over because you can end up with ink coming back out as well. So again, it's a little bit of a practice, a little bit trial and error, and just push that ink, just a little sort of pushing action just to get that ink back over the line. And what it does, just pushes it over, and obviously it completely removes that mistake. And I don't know if you can see this, but that ink's actually travelling around our blender pen there. So let's see if we can get this back in as well. So that's why it's quite important that you leave it to dry. If you're really unsure, I would leave it for a good few minutes. Ideally I would have liked to have left this a little bit longer, but just keep pushing that back in. And what it'll do is you do have like a halo effect here where the blender pen alcohol is obviously on our cardstock, but what will happen is that when the alcohol evaporates, that will dry completely clear and your your mistake will be gone. It'll disappear and go back on the inside. Again, that will work better with some colours than others. The blue, for example, has started to fade a little bit more there, so again, just a little bit of trial and error. And then obviously you can do some super cool like little swirls as well if you wanted to, you know, create your own backgrounds, get really creative. You can write in these as well, so if you wanted to write, you know, your name or a message, something like that, you can do all sorts of super cool techniques. So remember that your blender pen is not necessarily a blender pen, it does all sorts of really cool stuff. But please do check out our website because we've got loads more hints and tips and videos for you to see.